Hey there, car lovers. Every automaker has its hits and misses, but some cars miss so badly that they go down in history as legendary flops. Whether it's bad design, poor engineering, or misguided marketing, these American automotive disasters left people scratching their heads and companies scrambling for damage control. Here are the top 10 most embarrassing failures in American automotive history. Let's take a look at the cars that should have stayed on the drawing board. The Ford Pinto has become synonymous with one of the most notorious safety scandals in automotive history, largely due to its dangerously flawed fuel tank design. The compact car, introduced in 1971, was meant to compete with the growing number of small economical cars on the market during the 1970s. However, its legacy is now forever tied to its propensity for fuel tank explosions in rear-end collisions, a flaw that resulted in numerous deaths and severe injuries, as well as a massive public relations crisis for Ford. The Pinto's safety flaw revolved around the placement of its fuel tank. Unlike most cars, where the fuel tank is typically located above the rear axle for better protection, the Pinto's was positioned directly behind the rear bumper. In a rear-end collision, the tank could be punctured by nearby bolts, causing it to rupture. Worse still, the design of the rear of the car allowed for fuel to spill toward the passenger compartment, creating an even greater fire risk. This flaw was particularly dangerous because even low-speed impacts could result in catastrophic fires. The issue with the Pinto's fuel tank was discovered relatively early in its production run, but Ford's response remains one of the most controversial decisions in automotive history. According to internal documents that surfaced during lawsuits, Ford engineers had identified the problem and suggested a fix, reinforcing the rear structure or adding a rubber bladder around the tank, both of which would have cost around $11 per vehicle. However, Ford executives chose not to implement the fix, calculating that the cost of potential lawsuits would be less than the expense of recalling and repairing all the vehicles. This infamous cost-benefit analysis became public during court proceedings, revealing that Ford had effectively put a price on human lives. The company's decision not to address the fuel tank issue led to hundreds of rear-end collisions in which Pintos caught fire, often with devastating consequences. Lawsuits began to mount as victims, and their families sought justice for deaths and injuries caused by the car's dangerous design. In one of the most publicized cases, Grimshaw v. Ford Motor Company, a jury awarded the plaintiff $128 million in damages, later reduced, sending a clear message about the severity of Ford's negligence. This case, along with others, highlighted Ford's prioritization of profits over consumer safety and severely damaged the company's reputation. Public outcry reached a peak in the late 1970s when investigative journalists, consumer advocates, and safety organizations began to dig deeper into the Pinto's problems. The scandal gained national attention, with headlines labeling the Pinto as a death trap. Ralph Nader, the consumer advocate known for his work on automotive safety, was vocal in criticizing Ford, calling out the company for its unethical decision to put profits over safety. Under mounting pressure, Ford finally issued a recall of the Pinto in 1978, affecting 1.5 million vehicles. The recall involved modifying the fuel tank and reinforcing the rear structure of the car to prevent future incidents. However, by this time, the damage to Ford's reputation was immense. The Pinto became a symbol of corporate greed and negligence, and it permanently tainted the company's image. While Ford continued to produce the Pinto until 1980, sales plummeted in the wake of the scandal, and the car's name became synonymous with danger and irresponsibility. The Pinto, once marketed as an affordable, practical vehicle, was now infamous as one of the most dangerous cars in American history. The Ford Pinto debacle remains a cautionary tale of corporate ethics and automotive safety. It serves as a reminder of the consequences of prioritizing cost-cutting over the well-being of consumers. The scandal also had lasting effects on the auto industry, leading to increased scrutiny of vehicle safety standards and more stringent regulations to prevent similar tragedies in the future. The Pinto's legacy is a tragic chapter in the history of American automobiles, and it continues to serve as a powerful example of the importance of corporate accountability. The DeLorean DMC-12 is one of the most iconic cars in pop culture, largely due to its starring role in the Back to the Future trilogy. However, despite its futuristic appearance and its place in cinematic history, the car was a commercial failure. Launched in 1981 by John DeLorean's ambitious DeLorean Motor Company, DMC, the DMC-12 was intended to be a groundbreaking sports car that would shake up the automotive industry. But the reality of the car fell far short of expectations. From the outset, the DeLorean DMC-12 was designed to be a head-turner. Its brushed stainless steel body, a bold design choice that made the car stand out, was unlike anything else on the road at the time. The car's gull-wing doors, which opened upward rather than outward, added to its futuristic aesthetic and cemented its place as an attention grabber. But while the DMC-12 looked like something out of a sci-fi movie, its performance was more akin to a mid-range sedan than a high-performance sports car. The DMC-12 was powered by a modest 2.85-liter V6 engine, which produced only 130 horsepower, far less than what buyers expected from a car that looked like a supercar. Its 0 to 60 miles per hour time of around 10.5 seconds was unimpressive, especially when compared to other sports cars of the era, such as the Porsche 911 or Chevrolet Corvette. This lack of power was compounded by the car's weight. The stainless steel body made the DMC-12 heavier than most cars in its class, further hampering its acceleration and overall driving experience. In addition to its underwhelming performance, the DMC-12 suffered from a number of quality control issues. The car was manufactured in Northern Ireland in a factory set up with the help of British government subsidies, but production was plagued by delays and inconsistent quality. Early models were notorious for their poor build quality, with misaligned panels, faulty electronics, and other reliability issues. These problems tarnished the DMC-12's reputation among car enthusiasts and potential buyers alike. Compounding these issues was the car's steep price. The DMC-12 was originally priced at around $25,000, which was significantly higher than many of its competitors. Adjusted for inflation, that would be roughly $75,000 in today's market. Buyers were essentially paying a premium for the car's striking design, but without the performance or reliability to justify the cost. This, combined with the economic recession of the early 1980s, made it difficult for the DMC-12 to attract enough customers to stay afloat. By 1982, the DeLorean Motor Company was facing severe financial difficulties. John DeLorean, the company's founder, had poured his own money into the project, but the company's mounting debts and lack of sales success put it on the brink of collapse. In a desperate bid to save the company, DeLorean became embroiled in a high-profile drug trafficking scandal. He was arrested for attempting to finance the company through a cocaine deal, though he was later acquitted after claiming he was entrapped by federal agents. Regardless of the outcome, the scandal shattered the already fragile public perception of the company. In 1983, the DeLorean Motor Company went bankrupt, having produced only around 9,000 DMC-12s. The car was pulled from the market, and the dream of a revolutionary new sports car died with the company. However, this was not the end of the DMC-12 story. In 1985, the DeLorean DMC-12 found new life when it was cast as the time machine in Back to the Future. The movie's success catapulted the car into the realm of pop culture legend. For many, the DMC-12 became synonymous with time travel and futuristic technology, and its unique design made it the perfect choice for the film's iconic time machine. This newfound fame turned the DMC-12 into a cult classic, with fans and collectors clamoring to own a piece of cinematic history. Despite its commercial failure, the DeLorean DMC-12 has endured as a symbol of 1980s automotive excess and ambition. Today, surviving models are highly sought after by collectors, and the car's association with Back to the Future has given it a second life as a beloved relic of film history. Owners often modify and restore the DMC-12, with some even recreating the famous time machine version from the movie. While the car never lived up to its potential as a revolutionary sports car, its place in automotive and pop culture history is secure. In the end, the DeLorean DMC-12's legacy is one of ambition and vision that ultimately fell victim to practical and financial realities. It's a car that dared to be different, but was undone by its execution. However, thanks to its cinematic fame, the DMC-12 continues to captivate enthusiasts and remains one of the most recognizable and memorable cars ever made. The Lancia Beta is often remembered as a tragic example of how a single critical flaw can ruin an otherwise promising car. Launched in 1972, the Beta marked Lancia's attempt to modernize its lineup and compete more effectively in the European market. Designed with sleek Italian styling and offering a range of body types, including a sedan, coupe, and the sporty Beta Monte Carlo, the Beta was poised for success. It was praised for its advanced engineering, nimble handling, and strong performance, making it an appealing option for enthusiasts. However, its legacy was ultimately tarnished by a major flaw: severe rust issues. The heart of the Lancia Beta's downfall was tied to the quality of the materials used in its construction, specifically the steel. At the time, Lancia was owned by Fiat, and there were widespread rumors that Fiat had sourced low-grade steel from the Soviet Union as part of a trade agreement. Whether or not this was true, the steel used in the Beta was of notably poor quality, and the car became infamous for rusting at an alarming rate. In some cases, rust began to appear within just a few years of ownership, affecting not only cosmetic areas, but also key structural components. The rust problems were particularly pronounced in markets with damp climates, such as the United Kingdom. In the UK, where road salt and moisture are common, Beta models deteriorated rapidly. It wasn't just a matter of unsightly corrosion. The rust often affected critical areas, such as the suspension mounts, subframes, and chassis. These structural issues made the car unsafe and unfit for the road, leading to widespread dissatisfaction among owners. Word quickly spread about the Beta's rust problems, and the car developed a reputation for being unreliable and poorly built. In response to the growing crisis, Lancia attempted to address the problem by recalling thousands of Beta models and offering buybacks to affected owners. The recall was one of the largest of its kind at the time, and Lancia replaced many of the corroded parts in an effort to save the car's reputation. However, the damage to the brand was already done. The sight of rusted-out Betas and the subsequent negative publicity made it difficult for Lancia to regain the trust of consumers. The situation was especially dire in the UK, where the Beta had been well received upon its initial launch. By the mid-1970s, sales of the Beta had collapsed, and the car became a symbol of automotive unreliability. British car buyers, already skeptical of Italian cars due to concerns about build quality and durability, were reluctant to give Lancia another chance. This collapse in consumer confidence had long-term repercussions for the brand. Lancia never fully recovered its market position in the UK, and its presence in the country dwindled in the years that followed. Ironically, outside of the rust issue, the Lancia Beta was a well-regarded car. It was powered by Fiat's twin-cam engine, which offered good performance and reliability. And the car's handling was lauded as nimble and engaging, thanks in part to its innovative front-wheel drive setup. The Beta's interior was also praised for its comfort and upscale feel, giving it an edge over some of its more utilitarian competitors. These qualities made the Beta a car that, under different circumstances, could have been a strong competitor in the European market. The rust debacle, however, was too significant to overcome. Lancia's reputation took a hit across Europe, not just in the UK, and the Beta became a cautionary tale of how critical quality control is in the automotive industry. While the brand continued to produce cars for years after the Beta, the rust issues cast a long shadow over Lancia's future models. The company's image as a builder of finely engineered, stylish Italian cars was tainted by the perception that its vehicles were prone to catastrophic corrosion. In the years since, the Lancia Beta has gained a kind of cult status among classic car enthusiasts. Restored examples that have been properly maintained are appreciated for their design, handling, and performance. Yet the Beta's legacy is still intertwined with the rust issue, and it remains a reminder of how quickly a brand can fall from grace when fundamental flaws go unaddressed. Ultimately, the Lancia Beta's story is one of missed potential. With better quality materials and improved corrosion protection, the Beta might have been remembered as one of Lancia's great successes. Instead, it stands as a cautionary tale of how a critical flaw can overshadow even the most promising cars. leaving a lasting mark on both the model and the brand that produced it. The Zastava 101, also known as the Yugo Scala, is a car that became emblematic of the challenges faced by socialist economies in the automotive industry. Manufactured by Zastava Automobiles in what was then Yugoslavia, the 101 was introduced in 1971 and remained in production for several decades. Initially, the car was based on the Fiat 128, a design that Zastava licensed from the Italian automaker. While Fiat's engineering provided a solid foundation for the Zastava 101, the car's long production run without significant updates, coupled with manufacturing challenges, led to its eventual downfall. One of the primary reasons the Zastava 101 remained popular in Eastern Europe was its affordability. In a region where many people had limited access to foreign-made vehicles, the 101 was an attainable car for the masses. Its simple design and straightforward mechanics made it relatively easy to maintain, and spare parts were widely available. For many families in socialist Yugoslavia and neighboring countries, the Zastava 101 was one of the few options for personal transportation, which helped ensure its longevity. However, despite its widespread use, the Zastava 101 was plagued by significant issues that ultimately overshadowed its affordability. Chief among these was its poor build quality. As the years went by, Zastava's manufacturing facilities struggled to maintain consistent quality standards, leading to cars that were prone to breakdowns and mechanical failures. One of the most common complaints about the 101 was its lack of reliability, with engines that often underperformed and parts that wore out quickly. The car's electrical systems were notoriously unreliable, and rust was a pervasive issue, especially in countries with colder, wetter climates. The Zastava 101 was also underpowered by modern standards, even during its early production years. With a modest 1.1-liter engine producing around 55 horsepower, the car was not designed for speed or performance. This made it suitable for short trips and city driving, but far less capable on highways or long-distance journeys. As cars from Western Europe and Japan began to offer more powerful and efficient engines, the Zastava 101 increasingly felt like an outdated relic, unable to compete in terms of performance or driving experience. Design-wise, the Zastava 101 was functional but uninspired. Its boxy, utilitarian shape was typical of Eastern Bloc cars, which prioritized practicality over aesthetics. While it wasn't an eyesore, it lacked the sleek lines or stylish flourishes that would have made it stand out in a crowded market. By the 1980s, its design looked hopelessly outdated, especially when compared to more modern, compact cars that were being introduced in Western Europe. Despite this, Zastava made few changes to the car's appearance throughout its long production run, leading to a vehicle that felt increasingly out of touch with consumer expectations. The car's shortcomings were often attributed to the inefficiencies inherent in socialist manufacturing systems, where innovation and competition were often stifled, and quality control was a persistent issue. In Yugoslavia and other Eastern European countries, industries were largely state-controlled, which meant that there was little incentive to improve the design or performance of vehicles like the Zastava 101. Production goals were often focused on quantity over quality, leading to cars that were mass-produced but prone to defects and premature aging. The Zastava 101 became a symbol of the inefficiency and stagnation that plagued many state-run industries in the Eastern Bloc. Despite its flaws, the Zastava 101 remained in production until the early 2000s, long after most of its contemporaries had been discontinued or significantly updated. This was partly due to its entrenched position in Eastern European markets, where there were few alternatives, and partly because Zastava's limited resources prevented the company from developing a true successor. The car's longevity can also be seen as a reflection of the economic challenges faced by the region in the post-socialist era. After the breakup of Yugoslavia, Zastava struggled to remain viable, and the 101 became one of its last-ditch efforts to stay afloat. In the West, the Zastava 101 and its cousin, the Yugo, became the subject of ridicule. The Yugo, which was essentially a version of the Zastava 101 adapted for the US market, gained a reputation as one of the worst cars ever sold in America due to its subpar build quality and abysmal reliability. While the Zastava 101 never gained the same notoriety in Europe, it was similarly viewed as a symbol of outdated, inefficient production. For many, owning a Zastava 101 was more a matter of necessity than choice, an affordable car in a market with limited options rather than a desirable vehicle. The Pontiac Aztek was a bold, yet ultimately ill-fated attempt by General Motors to appeal to a younger, adventurous demographic in the early 2000s. Introduced in 2001, the Aztek was meant to represent a new direction for Pontiac, blending practicality with ruggedness in an SUV crossover aimed at outdoor enthusiasts. Unfortunately, the execution of this vision left much to be desired, as the Aztek's design became one of the most ridiculed in automotive history. From the outset, the Aztek was marred by its unconventional appearance. The vehicle's angular, disjointed design was a result of GM's desire to create something that stood out from the crowd, but instead, it alienated many potential buyers. Its oddly proportioned front end, with sharp, almost geometric lines, clashed with the bulky, rounded rear, creating a visually unbalanced aesthetic. The dual-tone body cladding and awkwardly shaped headlights added to the car's confused identity. Many critics and consumers alike found the Aztek's exterior styling unattractive, earning it a reputation as one of the ugliest cars ever made. Despite its unattractive looks, Pontiac attempted to market the Aztek as a highly functional and versatile vehicle. It featured a number of practical innovations designed to appeal to the adventurous lifestyle GM was targeting. These included a removable cooler between the front seats, a cargo area that could be converted into a tent with an air mattress, and a built-in tailgate stereo system, all of which were aimed at campers and outdoor enthusiasts. In theory, these features were useful and even innovative for the time, but they couldn't compensate for the Aztek's unattractive exterior and dismal performance in the market. Under the hood, the Pontiac Aztek wasn't particularly inspiring either. It was powered by a 3.4-liter V6 engine that produced a modest 185 horsepower. While this was adequate for everyday driving, it didn't match the sporty, rugged image Pontiac was trying to sell. The Aztek also suffered from a lack of agility, as its handling was far from nimble, making it less fun to drive than many of its competitors in the burgeoning SUV and crossover market. Its fuel efficiency was average at best, further diminishing its appeal to the younger, more eco-conscious buyers it sought to attract. The vehicle's design flaws were exacerbated by GM's internal struggles during its development. The Aztek was originally conceived as a more adventurous, daring concept car that could break from the traditional SUV mold. However, cost-cutting measures and compromises during its production led to a diluted version of the original concept, resulting in the visually unappealing final product that reached the market. Pontiac's marketing strategy, which positioned the Aztek as a hip, must-have vehicle for young active individuals, also backfired. The demographic it was targeting largely rejected the car, and older buyers, who might have appreciated its practicality, were turned off by its youthful, polarizing styling. Sales of the Pontiac Aztek were disastrous from the beginning. GM had hoped to sell 75,000 units a year, but in its first year, sales barely reached half that number. Over the next few years, sales continued to decline, and by 2005, the Aztek was discontinued, marking a short and inglorious lifespan. In total, just over 100,000 Azteks were sold over its 4-year production run, a far cry from GM's original ambitions. Its commercial failure contributed to the eventual downfall of the Pontiac brand, which was discontinued by GM in 2010. In hindsight, the Aztek's failure has become a cautionary tale in automotive design and marketing. While the car had practical features and was, by some accounts, reliable, its unsightly appearance was simply too much for consumers to overlook. The vehicle's legacy has largely been defined by its looks, overshadowing its functionality and utility. Its appearance on the hit TV show Breaking Bad in later years helped cement its status as a cultural icon, but even that was a reflection of its status as a joke in the automotive world rather than a serious contender. Today, the Pontiac Aztek is often cited as one of the biggest design flops in automotive history, a symbol of how poor design choices can doom even a vehicle with practical merits. Its failure is a reminder that while innovation and originality are important, aesthetics and execution are equally critical to a car's success. In the case of the Aztek, the failure to find a balance between form and function resulted in one of the most notorious automotive missteps of the 21st century. The Fiat Multipla is a prime example of how bold design choices can backfire, earning it a place in automotive history as one of the ugliest cars ever built. Introduced in 1998, the Multipla was Fiat's attempt at creating a compact multi-purpose vehicle, MPV, that emphasized functionality, space, and practicality. However, while the car excelled in terms of interior space and versatility, its exterior design became infamous for all the wrong reasons. The most striking and controversial aspect of the Multipla's design was its front-end appearance. The vehicle featured an unconventional double-deck arrangement, with the headlights positioned high up on a separate, raised portion of the hood. This odd design made it look as if two distinct vehicles had been awkwardly merged together. The Multipla's wide stance, bulging windshield, and prominent bumpers added to its unusual look, giving the car a bulky, almost cartoonish appearance that left many scratching their heads. The upper set of lights perched above the primary headlights was a feature rarely seen in car design, which gave the front of the Multipla a bug-eyed, bloated appearance. While Fiat's design team likely intended to create something distinctive and avant-garde, the result was a vehicle that was widely regarded as unattractive, even bizarre. In an era when sleek, modern aesthetics were becoming the norm for MPVs and family cars, the Multipla stood out for its unconventional, almost quirky style, but not in a good way. Its aesthetic earned it a spot in countless ugliest car lists and became a running joke in automotive circles. Despite its polarizing looks, the Multipla's interior was a triumph of space and practicality. It was designed with families in mind, offering an innovative seating arrangement that could accommodate 6 people in 2 rows of 3 seats. This was a standout feature at the time, as most cars in its class could only seat 5 passengers. The Multipla also had a surprisingly spacious cargo area, especially when the rear seats were folded down, making it a highly practical vehicle for those who could look past its exterior design. The dashboard layout was similarly innovative, featuring a central instrument panel that made it easier for both the driver and passengers to access controls. In terms of functionality, the Multipla was highly regarded by those who appreciated its practicality. It had excellent visibility thanks to its large windows and high seating position, and it handled well for a car of its size. The wide body allowed for a roomy, comfortable cabin, and Fiat's focus on utility made the Multipla a hit with families and drivers who prioritize space and comfort. However, no matter how well the car performed in these areas, its looks remained a significant barrier for many potential buyers. The Multipla's odd design was a major reason for its lackluster sales performance outside of Italy. While it found a niche market among those who valued its practicality, the car's appearance deterred many consumers who couldn't get past its unconventional looks. As a result, Fiat eventually conceded to public opinion and gave the Multipla a facelift in 2004. The redesign significantly toned down the car's eccentric front-end styling, bringing it more in line with contemporary car designs. The bug-eyed headlights were replaced with a more traditional layout, and the car's overall shape was smoothed out to create a less polarizing appearance. While the redesign improved the Multipla's aesthetics, it couldn't fully erase the reputation that the original model had garnered. The Fiat Multipla's legacy is a complex one. On the one hand, it remains a symbol of innovative interior design and practicality, a car that prioritized function and family-friendly features over form. On the other hand, its unusual and off-putting exterior design overshadowed these strengths, making it a textbook case of how crucial aesthetics can be to a vehicle's success. Despite its flaws, the Multipla has garnered a small but loyal fan base over the years, with some even appreciating its unique design as an example of Fiat's willingness to take risks. Today, the Fiat Multipla is often referenced in discussions about failed design experiments and serves as a cautionary tale for automakers about the dangers of pushing the envelope too far. While it remains one of the most recognizable cars of its era, It is remembered less for its practicality and more for its unconventional and, to many, unattractive appearance. Despite its undeniable utility, the Multipla's original form continues to stand as a hallmark of questionable automotive design choices. The Tata Nano, introduced in 2008, was billed as the world's cheapest car and represented a groundbreaking effort to make car ownership accessible to millions of people in India. Tata Motors aimed to create a low-cost vehicle that could provide an affordable and safer alternative to the motorcycles many Indian families relied on. Despite the ambitious vision behind the Nano, the car's actual performance fell short of expectations, leading to its eventual discontinuation. The Nano's primary selling point was its incredibly low price tag, which was set at around 100,000 Indian rupees, approximately 2,000 USD at the time. This pricing strategy was designed to attract budget-conscious buyers and appeal to the burgeoning middle class in India. Tata Motors' goal was to provide a vehicle that was both economical and practical for everyday use, thus fulfilling a significant need in a market with limited affordable car options. In terms of design, the Nano was a compact, four-door city car with an unmistakable minimalist aesthetic. Its exterior was characterized by simple, rounded lines and a small footprint, which was meant to maximize urban maneuverability and parking convenience. The car's design also focused on maximizing interior space despite its compact size, providing seating for 4 passengers in a surprisingly roomy cabin for a car of its size. However, while the Nano's affordability was initially appealing, it quickly became clear that the car's low cost came with significant trade-offs. The most notable issue was the vehicle's build quality and safety. The Nano's construction used cost-cutting measures that affected its overall durability and reliability. Reports surfaced about the Nano's susceptibility to rust and its general lack of refinement compared to more expensive vehicles. One of the most alarming issues with the Nano was its safety. There were several reports of spontaneous fires, which raised serious concerns about the vehicle's safety standards. These incidents, coupled with the Nano's lack of basic safety features, such as airbags and ABS brakes, contributed to a negative perception of the car. The company attempted to address these concerns by making improvements and recalls, but the damage to the Nano's reputation was significant. The engine of the Tata Nano was another point of contention. The car was powered by a 0.6-liter, two-cylinder engine, which provided only modest performance. The engine struggled to deliver adequate power, leading to sluggish acceleration and limited highway performance. This underwhelming engine contributed to the Nano's image as a vehicle that was practical but not particularly enjoyable to drive. Additionally, the Nano faced challenges in terms of market positioning. While it was designed to be an affordable alternative to motorcycles, potential buyers in the Indian market were often skeptical about the Nano's perceived value. The car's minimalist features and basic interior, combined with its low safety standards, led to a perception that it was a compromise rather than a desirable choice. The Nano's marketing also faced difficulties. Tata Motors initially promoted the Nano as a symbol of progress and innovation, but as the car struggled with quality issues and safety concerns, the marketing message lost its effectiveness. The car was often viewed as a low-cost vehicle that came with significant sacrifices, leading to limited appeal among potential buyers. Despite the initial excitement surrounding the Tata Nano, the car's sales fell short of expectations. The Nano struggled to gain traction in the Indian market, and its sales numbers were disappointing compared to Tata Motors' initial projections. The car was also met with mixed reactions in international markets, where it was briefly exported, further contributing to its commercial difficulties. In 2018, Tata Motors officially discontinued the Nano, marking the end of an ambitious project that failed to live up to its promise. The car's short-lived presence in the market serves as a reminder of the complexities involved in creating a successful low-cost vehicle. While the Nano's intent was admirable, its execution faced numerous challenges that ultimately led to its downfall. The Tata Nano remains a significant case study in automotive history, illustrating the difficulties of balancing cost, quality, and safety in a budget-conscious market. It is remembered as a bold attempt to democratize car ownership, but also as a cautionary tale of how challenging it can be to meet ambitious goals in the highly competitive automotive industry. The Trabant, a product of East Germany's socialist regime, is a compelling symbol of the era's technological and socio-political context. Manufactured by VEB Sachsenring Automobilwerke in Zwickau from 1957 to 1991, the Trabant was created during a time of stringent resource limitations and economic constraints. Its design reflects the unique challenges faced by East Germany under a centrally planned economy. The Trabant was constructed primarily from Duraplast, a material that combines recycled paper and plastic, giving the car its distinctive, plastic-like appearance. This choice of material was both innovative and practical under the circumstances. Duraplast was lightweight, which helped offset the limitations of the Trabant's small underpowered engine. However, it also contributed to the car's somewhat flimsy feel and less than durable reputation. The decision to use Duraplast was driven by the need to reduce production costs and overcome the scarcity of metal, which was more critical for the war-torn country. At the heart of the Trabant was its two-stroke engine, a design that was well-suited to the technological constraints of the time, but poorly matched to modern automotive standards. This engine, with its 0.6 to 1.1-liter displacement, produced a modest amount of power, resulting in a car that was notably slow and underperforming compared to Western vehicles. The Trabant's acceleration was sluggish, and it struggled to reach speeds that were considered acceptable even by mid-20th century standards. The engine's two-stroke cycle also meant that it emitted a significant amount of noise and pollution, creating a distinctive, loud and smoky exhaust that became a defining characteristic of the Trabant. The Trabant's emissions were a source of both environmental and public health concerns. The two-stroke engine's design led to incomplete combustion of fuel, resulting in the release of unburned hydrocarbons and particulate matter. This environmental impact was a stark contrast to the more advanced, cleaner technologies available in the West. The thick black smoke that billowed from the exhaust was a common sight and a reminder of the vehicle's outdated engineering and the broader limitations of East Germany's industrial capabilities. Despite its numerous deficiencies, the Trabant became an enduring symbol of life behind the Iron Curtain. For many East Germans, it was more than just a car. It was a vital means of transportation in a society where private car ownership was both highly sought after and difficult to achieve. The Trabant's production continued long after its design had become obsolete, reflecting the East German government's commitment to fulfilling the transportation needs of its citizens, even if it meant persisting with outdated technology. The Trabant's role as a cultural icon cannot be overstated. It came to represent the resourcefulness and resilience of East German society, embodying the everyday struggles and triumphs of life in a socialist state. It was a car that, despite its many flaws, managed to fulfill a critical function for millions of people, providing mobility in a world where options were scarce and consumer goods were often limited. In retrospect, the Trabant stands as a poignant reminder of the contrast between East and West during the Cold War. It highlights the technological disparities and the ideological differences that define the era. Its legacy is one of both admiration and criticism, a symbol of the ingenuity required to navigate the constraints of a restrictive system and a testament to the persistence of a population striving to make the most of what they had. As a historical artifact, the Trabant remains a fascinating subject for those interested in the intersection of technology, politics, and society, offering insights into a unique period of 20th century history. The Yugo GV, often cited as one of the worst cars ever sold in the United States, represents a noteworthy case study in automotive history. Imported from Yugoslavia by Yugo America, the Yugo GV was introduced to the American market in 1985 with the promise of delivering an affordable, no-frills compact car to budget-conscious consumers. However, the reality of the Yugo GV fell far short of its promises, leading to widespread criticism and a tarnished reputation that continues to affect its legacy. The Yugo GV was designed as an economical option, targeting those who sought a low-cost vehicle without regard to the bells and whistles that characterize more upscale models. It was built in a factory in the former Yugoslavia, where cost-cutting measures were paramount. This approach led to numerous quality control issues that plagued the vehicle. The car's build quality was severely lacking, with numerous reports of defects and malfunctions arising soon after purchase. Owners frequently encountered problems with the engine, transmission, and electrical systems, leading to a reputation for frequent breakdowns and unreliable performance. One of the most glaring deficiencies of the Yugo GV was its overall construction. The vehicle was assembled with minimal attention to durability or precision. This lack of quality control manifested in a variety of ways, from poorly aligned body panels to substandard materials used in the interior. The car's flimsy construction made it susceptible to various mechanical and structural issues, contributing to its poor reputation. The Yugo GV's design was also criticized for its lack of innovation. It seemed to lag behind contemporary vehicles in terms of both design and functionality. In terms of features, the Yugo GV was exceedingly basic. It was marketed as a no-frills car, and it lived up to that characterization. The interior was stark and uninviting, equipped with only the most essential elements. It lacked many of the conveniences and comforts that were becoming standard in other compact cars of the time, such as air conditioning, power windows, and modern audio systems. The absence of these features not only made the Yugo GV less attractive to potential buyers, but also contributed to its perception as an outdated and inferior option. The Yugo GV's performance also left much to be desired. Its engine, a small 1.1-liter four-cylinder unit, provided minimal power and struggled to deliver adequate acceleration. The vehicle's handling was similarly unimpressive, characterized by a lack of responsiveness and stability. These performance issues were compounded by the car's limited safety features, which did not meet the expectations of the American market. The combination of poor performance, limited safety, and basic amenities made the Yugo GV an unappealing choice for many consumers. The Yugo GV's reputation for being cheaply made and unreliable quickly became a point of contention. It was frequently ridiculed in the media and by automotive enthusiasts who used it as a benchmark for substandard quality. The car's shortcomings were often highlighted in reviews and consumer reports, which only reinforced its image as a failed experiment in budget automotive engineering. Despite its numerous flaws, the Yugo GV had some notable cultural impact. It became a symbol of the perils of importing low-quality products into highly competitive markets. The car's presence in the American market, albeit short-lived, served as a cautionary tale for manufacturers about the importance of meeting consumer expectations for quality and reliability. The Yugo GV's failure to do so highlighted the challenges of entering a market with a product that did not measure up to established standards. In summary, the Yugo GV stands as a cautionary example of how not to approach the automotive market. Its poor build quality, frequent mechanical issues, lack of features, and inadequate performance combined to create a vehicle that failed to meet even the most basic expectations of reliability and functionality. The Yugo GV's legacy serves as a reminder of the critical importance of quality and consumer satisfaction in the automotive industry. It remains a noteworthy case study in the pitfalls of marketing a substandard product to a discerning and competitive audience. The Reliant Robin is one of the most peculiar and memorable vehicles in automotive history, primarily due to its unconventional three-wheel design. Manufactured by the Reliant Motor Company from 1973 to 1981, the Robin was conceived as a compact, economical vehicle aimed at providing affordable transportation. However, despite its well-intentioned design, the Robin became infamous for its significant stability issues, which led to it being a frequent subject of mockery and derision. The Reliant Robin's design featured two wheels at the rear and one wheel at the front, a layout that was intended to minimize cost and maximize fuel efficiency. This configuration allowed the Robin to qualify as a tricycle in the UK, thus avoiding certain vehicle regulations and taxation that applied to four-wheeled cars. However, this design decision came with a major drawback. The vehicle's stability was severely compromised. The reliance on a single front wheel meant that the Robin had a narrow track and a high center of gravity. These factors combined to create a vehicle that was extremely prone to tipping over, especially during sharp turns or sudden maneuvers. The Robin's handling characteristics were problematic. It was easily unsettled by road conditions and driver input, often resulting in the vehicle leaning precariously or even overturning. This inherent instability rendered the Robin a challenging and sometimes dangerous vehicle to drive, particularly in situations requiring sharp steering or evasive action. The Reliant Robin's shortcomings became the subject of widespread public and media ridicule. One of the most notable sources of this mockery was the British television show Top Gear, which frequently used the Robin as a punchline in its segments. The show's presenters often demonstrated the car's propensity to tip over, turning it into a running joke and a symbol of automotive ineptitude. The Robin's instability made it an easy target for comedic skits and stunts, further cementing its reputation as a rolling punchline. In addition to its stability issues, the Reliant Robin faced criticism for its overall design and build quality. The vehicle's lightweight construction and minimalistic features contributed to its reputation as a cheap and underwhelming option. Although it was intended to be an affordable and practical solution for budget-conscious consumers, the Robin's shortcomings overshadowed its economic benefits. Its design flaws made it a less viable option for everyday use, particularly for those who required a reliable and stable mode of transportation. Despite its flaws, the Reliant Robin did achieve a level of cultural significance. It became a symbol of quirky British engineering and the eccentricities of vehicle design. The Robin's legacy is marked by its unusual design and the laughter it provoked, serving as a reminder of the importance of stability and safety in automotive design. While it may not be remembered for its technological advancements or performance, the Reliant Robin's place in automotive history is secured by its unique and memorable characteristics. In conclusion, the Reliant Robin's three-wheel design, intended to provide an economical and compact vehicle, ultimately led to significant stability issues that made it a frequent subject of ridicule. Its tendency to tip over and its portrayal as a punchline in media and popular culture have defined its legacy. The Robin serves as a cautionary tale in automotive design, illustrating the critical importance of stability and practicality in creating a successful vehicle. And there you have it, 10 of the biggest automotive flops from around the world. These cars might have started with high hopes, but they ended in disaster. Whether it was due to poor design, bad engineering, or just plain bad luck, these vehicles will forever be remembered as some of the biggest failures in automotive history. Which one do you think was the worst? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more fascinating car history.